Well, hello everybody, and welcome to my live stream. And of course, my nose itches right away. Sorry about that. That'll be a good one, right? That'll be really good, right? And I'm looking at the microphone when I'm talking to the camera. That's yes. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. Anyway, everybody, I just want to say hi and welcome to the live stream that we're going to talk about breaking the rules with drones and people who do it, or why they do it, or what's going on. Because each country, I've got some notes here I want to go over real quick, and then hopefully we can have a really good conversation about it. If you're a troll, I will probably block you as fast as I can. We don't need to deal with that. But anyway, let's get on with it, because each country does have their own drone rules, and some are so strict you can't fly at all, and then some are pretty much non-existent, or they're not even enforced. It depends on different countries. Now, here in the U.S., some of the states and the cities and municipalities have their own specific rules that you also need to know on top of the federal guidelines. But most people don't even know to look into the local laws, or they don't even know to look into the laws. A lot of people don't even know that there's a lot of laws. But most people do know that there's laws and there's something you got to be careful of and this and that. Now, I'm going to be taking a point of view from the U.S. because that's where I live. If you live outside of the U.S., please let me know what rules are different by just in the chat right there, and what's better or worse, and kind of let us all know. And in my opinion, it gets a little bit confusing for a U.S. pilot, for a drone pilot in the U.S., who wants to follow the rules. The FAA pilots, they all have a lot of knowledge on what the rules are, where you can and where you can't fly. It gets a little bit more interesting or convoluted when you talk little municipalities. For instance, just in the Chicagoland area, the Chicago rules are one thing, and then you get over to a suburb, they're another thing, and every place is a little bit different. So you just got to be careful. You got to know exactly if you're even in Chicago or if you're in a suburb, and what their rules are. And if you're close to O'Hare or Midway, not to fly at all. Of course, that should be a given, right? And I'd like to welcome everybody to the chat and to the live stream. And I want to know, I'm going to be asking for some opinions here in just a little bit. I'm just kind of telling you guys a little bit of the background. This is an open chat. But rude comments are not going to be tolerated. And I don't want to talk about much of the high-end, the FAA rules, and I don't want to talk about the licensed pilots. We're talking more about the hobbyist pilot. Because what happens is they get a new drone, and a lot of them don't know the rules or whatever, and they fly irresponsibly or just not knowing what the rules are. And that can become a problem. Let's first get this out of the way. I mean, yes, of course, as a hobbyist or as anybody else, you can download the Before You Fly app from the FAA, and you can learn if you can fly in the spot that you're standing, or you can even do some scheduling of, hey, I'm going to fly here, da-da-da-da-da, and go on from that. I meant to do that. Ha! See, here I am. I'm a little slow right now. Hey, Brian, how are you? Yeah, thank you for saving your rude comments for later. So anyway, let's... Before You Fly, I'm not sure if there's a lot of people who know about it or don't know about it, or if they even use it. I do use it to find out if I can fly in that area, because sometimes obviously where I live right now, I live in the Chicagoland area, so I have to know what airports are around me. Where I live close to O'Hare, so I can't even fly where I live. I have to go elsewhere. So here's kind of what I think happens, is I see, somebody getting a brand new drone, whatever age they are, they get it, they charge up the batteries, and they're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go fly, and then they just go fly. And they say, oh, I want to know how high I can go, how far can I go, and all of this, when they don't even realize they're actually breaking many, many rules. A common one that I see a lot, I see these on Facebook, I see these on YouTube, and all kinds of different social media, where, people are like, oh, look, I flew 1,000 feet, or I flew 1,500 feet, or I flew 2 miles away. You just see all of that, and there are rules against that. I saw a video of a teenager who took a drone up. I forget which one it was. Took a gallon jug, put about a little bit of water in it, and he was dropping it. And he was in a residential area over the street. That I have an issue with. I believe he was reported. I don't know. I didn't report him. I've seen some night pictures, but sometimes, night pictures, that's you can't tell if it's actually taken just before sunset or just after sunrise. So those are, you can't really tell. But like I said, a lot of the videos are 1,000 feet or more. One video that I saw that really kind of struck a nerve with me is that I saw a guy that he flew his whatever drone up to like 1,300 feet, but as he went up, you could see that there was, within a half a mile or a mile, there's a regional airport. I mean, there was a runway right there, and I simply just commented on there because I wanted to know who he contacted. I'm like, hey, how'd you get the clearance? And he got all defensive with me because apparently he didn't get clearance. He just knew the traffic patterns. Well, that's great, but that's also illegal, and that's not how things are done. So I want to know what you guys are thinking. Oh, hey, I got some comments here. I'll read them in just a second. My questions are, what have you seen on social media or whatever, even in person, that that people are breaking the rules, or do you think they're breaking the rules? How well do you know the rules? And what do you think we should do? I mean, do you think we should just, report every little incident? Do we just report the major ones? I mean, because you can't fly over people, and I see people flying over people and stuff like that. And do we just let it all go and just say, screw it, everybody does what they want to do? I mean, geez, I don't know. You guys tell me in the chat right now. We've got Brian. Yeah, I know, Brian. You're not allowed to troll me, man. I'll block you. And Calvin, 400 foot max, I believe, here in the U.S. Yes, you're studying before I get to P3P. That's good. You are right, 400 feet. And I actually have a pilot friend of mine who explained why drones can go 400 feet and you don't want to go higher than that. Because civilian airplanes, like small Cessnas or whatever, even the big jets, of course I think the big jets have a little different rules, they're not allowed to fly below 500 feet unless they are going to land. So you have that 100 foot buffer between the highest where you can go and the lowest that they can go, and you should never hit each other because you have 100 feet of clearance. You don't see the Before You Fly app, just one called Planes Live. I haven't heard of Planes Live. Before You Fly is actually the letter B, the number 4, the letter U, and fly. And you can look it up. It's actually FAA's. Any idea how high traffic helicopters fly? I'm thinking they don't. They're not. They'll do whatever they want, generally, is from what I understand. But from what I understand, they're not supposed to go below 500 feet because they are also civilian aircraft. But being a helicopter and being that they do vertical takeoff and landing, they may be able to do different ones. I'm not really sure on the helicopter rules. I am assuming, and that's a big assumption, that they are in the same category as like a civilian style where they can't go below 500 feet. I could easily be wrong. Now, my questions are, I mean, if you guys have questions, I'm a licensed pilot. I know the rules pretty well. They do change, so if I state something that's wrong, don't flame me. Just say, hey, dude, I think you might be incorrect, and we can go and look at it, and that's fine. I like to make money with my drone pictures. By the way, this picture right here that you see, that was taken at Woodstock, Illinois, a few weeks ago. It would also depend on if it was a medical helicopter. Yeah, medical helicopters, it's kind of like an ambulance. The rules don't really apply to them. I would assume that too, because it's medical. They're in an emergency. They got to fly low. They got to go fly fast. They got to get, their purpose is to save a life, and hopefully they don't crash doing so. But yeah, I believe you are correct. The helicopter rules, I'm not 100% sure on those. You're going to travel by air with my drone in a few weeks. Any tips? Going to the Keys. Well, you can take me with you. Yeah, basically when you travel with a drone, you don't want to take any more than 2 batteries in your carry-on. You can take the whole thing with you if you got a backpack that fits in the carry-on, which is fine. Everybody does this. Some airlines may be crappy with you, and don't know, but you really should. I think the max is 2 batteries per carry-on, but if you have a friend that's going with you and you have 4 batteries, you could probably get away with 2 batteries with them and 2 batteries with you, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody's done that before. That's what I've got 3 batteries, and I would probably see if I could pawn my 3rd battery onto a friend. I mean, not someone I don't know, because that's really, really bad. You have the Autel Premium with the case that should fit. Yeah, I believe that is a carry-on size. You should be fine. But again, 2 batteries because that is usually what they'll take. And some airlines do have issues even with that because some of the airlines don't even know the rules. You can even, I've seen this in a couple of posts on YouTube and Facebook. I've seen where people will actually state and show the rules from the FAA website, and they're being challenged that it's even a legal website. It's like FAA.gov is the FAA. Here's the rules. I mean, the guy was, I mean, this is probably a 1 in a million shot, but you get that one TSA guy or whatever. But some pilots don't know the rules. Some flight attendants, they don't know the rules. So, most of them will. I mean, as time goes on, they're going to learn the rules. But you just want to make sure that everything's fine. I hear that people fly with them all the time, no problems. I just want you to be aware of the 1 or 2 chances that something may come up. But if you're flying overseas, you definitely. I mean, I know the Keys is the Florida, so that's not a problem. But Jacksonville is flying limited there. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading these as fast as I can. Of course, it's only the 2 of you. Feel free to comment on any of the drone rules. If you're going to fly international, I saw a couple videos where you definitely want to make sure you know the rules of the country you're going to, because some countries will confiscate your drone and getting it back is next to impossible or very, very not much fun. Yeah, dropping stuff, I agree, Calvin. Dropping stuff from a drone is, I think, the worst possible thing, because when I saw that kid's video about him dropping, again, it had like this much water or maybe this much water in a 1-gallon jug. He just wanted to drop something. It's like, but you are in a residential neighborhood on a street. I mean, granted, it wasn't like the main thoroughfare, but it was a road that people drive on, kids and bikes. I mean, just the thought of that drives me crazy. But if you're dropping stuff, if you're out in an open field, like in your own little field somewhere and there's nobody around, who cares? Drop whatever you want. Okay, that's not a big deal. It's just when you are in a populated area it becomes an issue to me. Drone deliveries is going to happen, so there will be dropping stuff. Excuse me, by the way. There will be dropping stuff of some sort, but it won't be craziness. Dropping, yeah. Did you drop a piece of lead? Yeah, or something heavy? Yeah. I think the kid, he went up to he went over 400 feet. I know that. I'm thinking it was like 700 feet. Let's just talk about how many different rules can you break at once. Flying over people, flying at over 400 feet, and dropping stuff from your drone. Yeah, that's nuts. I do have some stuff on Shutterstock. Oh, you can't get them to accept anything. Oh, they can get really picky. If you're shooting in 4K, now I don't know if my Autel, actually no, I did get some stuff up with my Autel, and I had an XSP. I no longer have that drone. That's another video, by the way. That's one I'll probably do. Maybe I'll do that next Friday as my live stream. But anyway, yeah, that's the Shutterstock is. I've got them to accept my stuff. It does take a while. How long has it been taking? Because I've noticed that mine took sometimes a month. When doing my Pond 5 stuff, Pond 5 can sometimes take a month or 2 months. The video blocks gets approved pretty quick. Excuse me. The video blocks is approved pretty quick. Just a minute here. I'm sorry, my nose is itchy all of a sudden. It must be allergy season, and my window is open because it's really hot. Yeah, ask me any questions. I prefer to be drone-related, of course, drone-related, and preferably rules-related. I really want to get into that. Now, hobby flying. Okay, Calvin, let's look at your hobby flying. For hobby flying, I'm pretty sure I have to register for a license, or what exactly do I need to do? Have not been clear on what I've read. Okay, Calvin, that's the new rule, is that you don't have to register your drone. So you don't have to register it, which it's $5, and I register mine because I'm licensed. I have to because mine are being commercial. As a hobbyist, you don't have to register. You don't even need to have a license. You just need to be smart on where and when you fly. I mean, if you're going to go fly over crowds, that's a big no-no. not near airports, da da da, blah blah blah, all the rules. Just make sure that you know what the rules are. But you don't need, if you're going to fly as a hobby and you're not going to sell or make any money with your video or with your drone, the minute you make $1 with your drone, then you're a commercial entity, and then you need to be completely different. You need to have your license and all that. But if you're not going to make any money and you're just doing it for fun and it's just a hobby, then you don't need a license or you don't need anything. Common sense, exactly, Calvin. Now, Brian, I've sold some videos. I have not sold anything on Shutterstock yet. My Pond 5 is a lot more active. My Pond 5 I've made a little bit of money here and there. My biggest problem is I don't put enough on there often enough. I need to be more vigilant and more consistent, kind of like I need to do on this channel too. So to be safe, might as well spend $5, Calvin. And it's not really even being safe. I mean, but you can. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why you can't register. It would be kind of nice. If you register it, what will happen is if it drops or falls out of the sky or crashes and somebody finds it, there's a registration number on it, and people can look up the FAA and get the drone back to you. Or you could actually put your address on a little piece of paper where you would normally put the registration number. So you can do a couple different things. It's for getting lost, but also remember, if you're registered with the FAA, if you're going to do anything crazy and stupid, you're going to get caught. Now, and I'm not really saying, anyway, I just kind of gave a little thing there. Anyway, you don't look like you're going to be doing anything crazy and stupid, so go ahead and register with it and let it go. I mean, just register with FAA. Again, it's $5, and they might be upping the rate in the next, I don't know, whenever. I've heard that they were going to up the price, but I can't see it being like $100. It's not going to be anything like that. That'd be kind of crazy. But yeah, I would even if I was a hobbyist, I would register my drones just because I'm weird that way. Oh, and I'm glad we're keeping it civil in the comments. So yes, Brian, I did sell some videos. Some other things. I'm trying to think of some other things. Now, what do you guys? You did some. Oh, Brian, you're over here in Chicago then. You did some video near the aquarium. I'm assuming you took off at Northerly Field. No problem, Calvin. Or Northerly Island. And you're legal to do that as long as you don't fly over, or because if you're going to fly over actually it's a gray area. Aquarium is a gray area because the aquarium is in the Chicago Park District. Thank you for the skyline shots, Brian. You got some good ones too. Yeah, I bet you got some great ones over there. I've got some good ones sitting down on the ground. But see, since the aquarium and the museum and even Soldier Field is all part of the Chicago Park Districts, which they allow you to fly in most of the Chicago Park Districts, obviously, again, following the rules of not over a lot of people, blah, 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 and just being common sense. I do know that there are some of them you got to be careful because there are some heliports, some in places. You can't fly over by Navy Pier because of, number one, that's private property, and Navy Pier is private property, and there's also the water treatment plant over there. But yeah, you should be okay. There's a lot of people that have flown and gotten those shots over there of the skyline. Actually, with your Shutterstock videos, I would like to see what it looks like. Maybe there's something with what they don't like, or maybe they just have 20,000 views of that, and it's just they don't need another one of those kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I try to find something different. My videos, I'm still working on getting them to be more interesting so that they'll actually sell. I bet you got some awesome skyline shots over there. I've been wanting to go over to Northerly Island and get some of those shots too. But I don't know if you guys know, but if you tried some stills, yeah, I bet you got some good stills. But I'm finding that, I don't know, I don't do a lot of stills because I don't know if they'll sell. I guess I don't know. I would prefer if I made a really good still like this one down here, if it were a little better, to print them and have people print and frame them. I think that would be cool. I don't know if I'd want to be using advertising and whatnot, unless someone paid me a whole crap ton of money. If someone wants to pay me a crap ton of money, they can use that, and I'll take it off all my videos. Because that's another way to make money. And just so you guys know, for this channel, I I've got 2 videos in the works. I've written 2 scripts. I'm working on a 3rd script. I'm hoping to shoot them all in one day, this weekend or Monday, and get them all done, and then edit them and put them out over the next few weeks. And I think you guys give me some more ideas, which is great. That's kind of why I like these live streams, even though I've had trouble with my audio. I hope hope the audio is good, because I had to swap out mics and do a lot of things. I do have a fan going on because it's hot. I'm sure Brian can attest to. So where is everybody? Brian, where are you from? I know you're in, well, no, never mind. You're in Chicago. Calvin, if you're still here, man, I'd like to know just city, state. You don't need to even tell me. You can tell me the state. You said Jacksonville, Florida. I already know that. You said Florida. And you said Jacksonville has some pretty strict rules. So here we go. Yeah, it is a little toasty. So what I want to know, guys, are both of you, well, if you're putting stuff up on Shutterstock, I'm assuming you have your FAA license. And Calvin, if you're, how long have you had your drone? You live in the West Burbs. Oh, I was out in that area this morning. Whoop, tears. Anyway, I'd like to know what violations have you seen or heard of that are a little bit different than what we've already talked about. What do you feel? Because really, what I want to do is I want to talk about the violations, and what do you see it getting worse? Because I have a feeling with these violations, with the drones blowing up the way they are. I mean, drones are getting huge. This is the beginning of the beginning. I'll tell you that in just a second. Anyway, that I see that those videos or these drones are just going to get worse and worse and worse, and with more hobbyists and people who are not trying to be stupid, but they're just not thinking. They're like, oh, I got a new toy, I'm going to go play with it. It's like you need to be a little bit more responsible, and a lot of people aren't. Jacksonville. Oh, you're in Jacksonville, Illinois. I didn't know there was a Jacksonville, Illinois. You guys must be part of the Drone Flyers of Illinois. Anyway, yeah, I'm just the fact that you haven't seen any other drones, Brian. You must not have joined up some of the groups and gone to some of the meetups. I've actually met up with a couple of people, and we've gone out and flown together. And you're right, I don't see a lot of other people with drones, but I did one time. It was before Christmas. I was out flying, and there was somebody out flying a Mavic also in the same area. We were up by Foster Beach. Hey, you guys both in the area. That's pretty cool. The group meetups are pretty cool. I like both of them, and they really work really, really well. Guys, we're going off topic here. Going off on a tangent, which is funny. But I would really like to talk more about the drone rules. What about, are there any questions on any other rules that you need to know or have any thoughts on? Anything? I'm kind of wondering here. I'm stalling. Oh, you were asking me. You don't see anybody breaking any rules? I'm very happy to hear that. Oh, you were asking me where I got the Find Me video. Are you talking about the Where Is It video? Where did I do that? We went down to that's Ed, obviously. If you watched the behind the scenes, you saw that's Ed. We were down in Orland Park in the Tinley Park area, actually south of Tinley Park. I haven't found any other people in my area that flies drones. There's a smaller air club around here that fly big planes and a few jets, but most people here have small toy grade. Ah, wow. So I don't know where Jacksonville, Illinois is. Is it really far south? Because it doesn't sound like it's a suburb. I might be wrong because I don't know all the suburbs of Chicago. I know a lot of them. But anyway, yeah, that's actually good that you don't have that problem. But if Jacksonville, Illinois has a lot of the rules, then actually Evanston, Evanston has 3 hours. Okay, so you're like Springfield then. You're almost to Springfield. Okay. Or Arthur or somewhere. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of rules down there. That kind of sucks. Anyway, so Evanston has rules where you pretty much can't fly, and I didn't know that. And see, here's another of the I didn't know. I have flown and I've seen other people fly over around the Gilson Park area, thinking, okay, it's not a big deal, and find out that, of course, this was maybe before the rule, but come to find out, Evanston really is kind of anti-drones, and that sucks because they've got some beautiful areas. Flying over a mile is pretty risky. Yeah, because Calvin, the big thing is you're supposed to be within line of sight. LOS, line of sight. If you can't see your drone, how do you know what's going on? I can look on the screen. Yeah, but you don't know what's behind it or what's next to it. You only know what's in front of the camera. And 1,200 feet, yes, that's. I've done a little bit more than that, but I could see it. It's the Autel is a little better because it's orange and you can see a little further, and it is really decent. But you need to stay within line of sight, and people don't understand that. Like, well, why? Because I can see through the screen. I can see everything I need to see. Well, 30 miles west of Springfield. Okay, I know where you're at now. I may have been there at one point 10 years ago. So anyway, talking about the line of sight, because, and even with line of sight, I mean, and you guys, if you've flown it more than a couple times and you've flown it far enough away, you'll know this. You could fly really, really far out, and it's hard to tell, am I really right next to that tree? Or right next to that building? Am I really right above it? Am I past it? It's your depth perception the further out you go, the worse your depth perception gets. So, that's why line of sight is important. And even having spotters. Spotters is the best. That's why I like to fly with other people, and constantly communicate with those people as to what's going on. Hey, where are you? Where am I? What's your height? Da 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 da. And that's how Ed and I fly. That's how Ruel and I fly. We're always like, okay, so what's your height? Where are you? We'll point, and we also play each other's spotters. Like I'll be nearby, and I'll just have mine hovering, and I said, you're right over there, blah blah blah. So it's always good. You want to be line of sight. Line of sight is very, very critical in my book. Or lots of spotters. And of course, if you have spotters and you're communicating to those spotters, then you are in line of sight. Has anyone had any run-ins with hawks? I came close to the Kankakee River last week. When I went to go fly for the demo of my real estate video up at a friend's house in Wisconsin, there were hawks flying around there when I got there, but by the time I took off, they were gone. So I have not I've not had that problem myself. If you started circling your drone, yeah, that would be unnerving because they will attack a drone, and it's been on video of them attacking a drone. I would probably land and go somewhere else or just wait. So Calvin, you have an airport at the edge of town, and we have a hospital that does air vac. Seems like 30 minutes. I haven't had hawks. Okay, you've had buzzards. You could buzz the buzzards. Those are really big birds, though. So Calvin, what I would recommend is having the before you fly app and just looking. Now, if your airport is a regional airport, you may not have any real problems. As a hobbyist, see, this is where the rule is a little gray for me. Yeah, GPS is off a bit drastic. Yeah, that could be bad. But the rule is kind of gray for me with hobbyists near airports, regional airports, because what licensed people do, like what I do, is, in fact, again, when I was in Wisconsin, I was a mile away from a regional airport and had a biplane taken off. I don't know if he was just practicing or if he was actually a crop duster. But I called the airport, spoke to the airport manager, and said, just to let you know, I'm like I'm like a mile south of you, and I'm going to be flying about 100, 150 feet. I'm not going to go, I'm not doing any 400 footers or anything like that. And he's like, oh, okay, no problem. When I did the video, I did some promotional videos for an RV company, and again, I was about a mile away from a regional airport, called the manager, left a voicemail saying I'm going to be flying around here, blah, blah, blah. He called me back and said, well, you've probably already flown, but yeah, we're okay with it. And he was joking the whole time. So regional airports, you may call and say, look, I'm a hobbyist. What is it okay? But make sure they know that you're a hobbyist, but that you're trying to be responsible. You still may not. I don't think you can still legally fly 5 miles away from it, though. You might want to make sure you're okay. And turning the GPS off, I mean, if you're a good pilot, no big deal. I am more of a camera person and less of a super skilled pilot. I mean, the only thing I fly without GPS mode is this. And I bump into a lot of walls, and if you could see there's a lot of cracks in this thing. I bumped into a lot of walls with it. And I am afraid to death to take the DJI and go into ADI mode because I'm just like, I'm going to crash it. I mean, for the first time in the first time ever, I put it in sport mode and had some fun with it. I'll probably get to Addy mode, but I'm more of a camera person, and I'm more to take the pictures and the video than I am to really become like and I will have to become more of a skilled pilot, because I will have to, I want to do some things like flying underneath tree branches and in between stuff and all of that. So I will get better, but I have to have I'm still using my GPS mode as a clutch. The airport isn't very busy, but the hospital is where you're going to have more of an issue. As always, you give the helicopters the right of way, and if you hear a helicopter, just get it down to 50 feet or whatever. Just get out of the way. If you can hear a helicopter, get out of the way, because you do not want to be near that, and they don't want you near that either. And if they're flying in at 100 miles an hour, they're not going to have time to react. And I don't know, I'm sure that they're going to start to do some testing of what happens when a helicopter hits a drone. What happens when an airplane hits a drone, the jet plane hits a drone. What happens if a drone goes in it, blah, 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 blah. They're going to have some of those tests, because they have to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to do that. I hope that there's some kind of testing facility that would allow them to say, what happens if we have this drone and we fly it into this? Because I know that at one point they used to take frozen chickens out of a cannon and shoot them at the windshields of 747s or something like that, 737s maybe. So some kind of testing facility that way. And if a chicken doesn't break a window at 1,000,000 miles an hour or whatever it is, then a drone's going to get shattered. But my thing is when a drone shatters and those pieces go into an engine or something like that, that's when the problem happens. So, wow, this has been a 30-minute one. This is pretty good. I like this, but I was hoping to talk more about the rules. You want to do photography for personal use. That's good, yeah, and you can do a lot of good stuff. I'll tell you what, Calvin, if you're a really, really good photographer, just get your license. Dude, just get your license. It's not that hard. I took the class, and if you look in the description, I think I've got it in this. I don't know. If I don't, I will have it. But if you look on one of my newer videos, there's a description and a link going to Remote Pilot 101. It's an affiliate link, so if you use my link, I make a couple dollars on it. But Remote Pilot 101 is a beautiful package that a lot of people have used. It's all videos, very, very good videos. They keep them up to date. You can retake your test again, because you have to renew them every 2 years, and it's a lifetime membership for I think $150, and it will teach you what you need to know to pass this test, and it will also teach you how to fly responsibly. So it's twofold. By teaching you responsible flying, or by teaching you how to pass the test, it teaches you how to be responsible. So you kind of get a 2-for-1, and then you go take the test, and then you're just done. I mean, that's my opinion. If you're just gonna go and just if you just want to go and fly, that's one thing. Yeah, mine too, Calvin. I'll say it just a second, but that's just my thing. If you're gonna do like your own personal photography, that's fine. But you may think that's a good shot, and I can make some money on it. And I think I can do more of these, where I can make more money, and da 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 da. And then, or I can go take real estate pictures and make some more money, because you can make a little bit of money here and there. But if you have a really cool job and you like your job, and this is just literally a hobby, then you don't need the license. I'm a business thinking kind of person, so whenever I think, ooh, I can do this, I'm going to make some money on it, so I go and get the licensing I need. And yes, Calvin, the pieces, parts, flying up, again, a drone isn't going to break a windshield on a major jet, but the pieces flying into a motor would be a problem. That would definitely be a problem. So we got any more questions here as we're going? This is actually good. Ever consider doing golf courses? Okay, here's the rule with golf courses. Golf courses are private property. Even if it's a public golf course, it's private property. You need to get permission. And that's what it is with every piece of private property. And here's some of the rules coming out that they're not rules coming out. This is where all the problems are with the current rules. But really quick, the rules are for public. You have to have permission to fly and record that public, unless you're at least 100 or 200. I hear different numbers. There is no solid number. I've heard 80 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet above said property, public property, that you can't fly under that amount. Like you have to be at least 100 feet or at least 200 feet above the property in order to fly over that property. Because jets fly over property, of course, they're 15,000 feet up. Airplanes fly over property and they're 500 feet up. So they're allowed. You can fly over public property or private property, but you got to be at a certain height. And that's the thing where they're like, okay, do we have this where the local government takes care of this, or is it FAA rules? What the current administration wants to do is they want to make it all the local governments get to make their own rules, which I see why, but it becomes a cluster when you are doing that, because then every little place will have their own little rules. And they're talking about, the FAA can say 200 feet to 400 feet is what they're responsible for. 200 feet and all the way up to space is what they're allowed to regulate. And then under 200 feet, local municipalities get to say whatever they want to say. Well, a lot of them will probably say you can't fly. Some of them will say you can fly anywhere it's public. Like Chicago, if it's a public space, you can fly on it unless it says don't fly your drone. Or, things like you can't fly over fire stations, utilities, police stations, schools, churches, graveyards, cemeteries, water treatment plants, which is part of utilities. You can't fly over a lot of things. You cannot fly over Wrigley Field, Sox Field, or Soldier Field when there's a game or an event. You can't fly over any event because, well, that's people. You can't fly over people. That's an FAA rule. So you got a lot of rules here in Chicago that are, quite honestly, they're common sense. But when you go to Jacksonville, Illinois, you can't fly. Okay. Well, then why do I have a drone? Maybe that's what they want. Is they don't want anybody to have a drone. Now, what I understand, like in China, I've seen some Chinese vloggers, and they have a drone. And you can, in fact, in China, you can get into public building. You can get into just about any building. You just walk in and walk onto a roof. You got to play it cool and do it right. And you can get on top of a roof, take off of a roof, and fly anywhere you want in China. Because all the land, there is no real private land unless it's government run. So the drone rules are more like the wild, wild west out there. But then, you might get a crabby person and take down your drone. Oh, Brian, that's a good question. Can you change your setting to allow the drone to go higher than 400 feet? Absolutely, you can. Yes, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Here's the thing, another thing that's going through right now is that they're talking about, is it right for a manufacturer to restrict the use of the product they sell? Think about it. Do they make a car that can only go 55 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour and cannot go any faster? No, they make cars that go 200 miles an hour. It's illegal, but they make them. Is it okay to then make a drone that can fly 7,000 feet, but it's illegal, but people will do it? And that's some of the rules. That's what some of the excuses people give. Well, it's just like a speed limit. No, actually, it's not just like a speed limit, because you can cause some real damage to something if you are. If I'm at O'Hare, I'm literally right up above me is the approach pattern for big jets coming in. If I flew up too high here, I could hurt somebody, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, part of the rules are, should manufacturers restrict the use of what they sell? Can they make it so you can't go 400 feet higher? Well, but what if you sell in a place that they don't care? Well, then if you hard code it in to where everybody in the whole world can't go higher than 400, then the people that can aren't going to buy your product. But then if you make it so that, okay, well, in the U.S., we're going to make it so it's 400 feet, but in Timbuktu, we're going to make it so there's no limits. Well, I guarantee you there's going to be a hacker in the U.S. that's going to get around that rule. GPS or no GPS, they're just going to get around it because someone's going to figure something out. So, yeah, you can change it, and I think that's fine, because what if you bought your drone and you're a U.S. citizen, and then you go to Timbuktu? I don't know what the rules are in Timbuktu, but let's say you go to Timbuktu and the rules are no rules. There are no rules, and you want to fly 1,000 feet and they don't care. Well, then your drone is not allowed to fly 1,000 feet. Well, that would suck. So it's just, yes, you can change it, and that's fine, and that's a good thing in my book. But I prefer to keep mine at 400 feet, or actually 390 or whatever, so I don't even I get close, but so that I don't really break that rule. And remember that if you're running the DJI Go app, it does log your flight. At least when the app works. If you have an Apple or an iPad or whatever, it works better than mine because I have a Android. Oh, holy cow, that was a lot. I hope I expressed myself well enough. I hope I didn't go off too far on a tangent where I didn't explain myself. Can the FAA see where you fly? If they want to. If they really, really want to, they can. Unless you're not logging. I mean, your apps log everything. Your drone logs everything. There are ways to clear that. But if they really, really, really wanted to, yeah, they can. Unless you really, really, really don't want them to. So, yeah. But I know that on my Android app, it tells me, I can go back and relook at my flights, but my Android app is so inconsistent, it doesn't actually properly log every single flight I have. I'm sure there's some firmware that's actually on the drone that does a better job, but the app actually crashes at least once or twice during a 3 battery flight. When I use 3 batteries, it'll crash at least once during a time. The Autel logs it too. Yes, I know they do. There's like little drones. I mean, obviously, this one's not logging anything. This is a $30 drone. The old 3DRs, maybe not. I don't know. Unique probably does. The bigger manufacturers and the more expensive the drones, yes, they're going to log them. But the little cheap ones, probably not. The little, what are they? The whoops that are custom made that you build yourself. Well, you built it. You can make it not log anything, and that's the other thing. You can build your own drones. I mean, there's thousands of videos on how to build a drone. If you have some technical background, you can easily do it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing because then that way, in my instance with the drones logging themselves, it will be more of a cover my butt. Because it'll be like, no, I was only at 350 feet, or no, I wasn't over there, and my log will show, no, he wasn't over there, so he wasn't breaking the rules. Or it might say, oh, look, yeah, you were a foot over there, and I'll be like, well, okay, there's my fine. Running GPS, I would say they could track it along with that. Yeah, it's the GPS is what they're using. I mean, if you're doing, I think if you have... Actually, I don't know. If you turn the GPS off, I don't know if there's actually another GPS in it that actually tracks what you're doing. But I do know that with my old Autel, the first one I had, the GPS failed completely. So, yeah, it didn't even do anything. But it was able to tell me. I mean, I still have a screenshot of where that drone went down in the lake. And the GPS wasn't working, but it knew where it was at. So, I'm not really sure how that works. What about flying close to buildings? Flying close to buildings, well... What is that? It's 50 feet, 100 feet, I think is what you're supposed to be. I would have to relook up that rule. But flying close to buildings, number one, is questionable anyway because the way the wind can blow around and actually bring your drone into the building or slam it to the ground, or basically you could lose control because of wind going around the building. But flying close to them without permission, number one, don't. But you want to, you got to be 50 I think it's 50 feet away from a building when you're flying around it. But you can also go, let's say you're in Chicago and you want to fly, technically, I don't know, I'm sure that this would break some rules. Technically, you could be able to fly about, let's see, what is it? About 1,900 feet, but you have to be 400 feet above the Sears Tower, and that's the only one, or the Willis Tower, whatever you want to call it. But that's the only place. But number one, you have to have permission to fly downtown in the loop. You got to make sure there's no people. You got to have waivers, and then you could technically fly 400 feet above the spires of the Willis Tower. I highly, highly, highly recommend to not do that. But when you're around a building, That's the interesting part, is when you're around a building, you can fly 400 feet above that building. Okay, and that's like if you're within the 50 feet around it, you can fly at 400 feet above it. And that's the FAA rule. Now, here's the other thing, and to know, if you really want to know the details, I mean, I'm not the one that you're going to say, oh, well, Brad said I could do it. No, I'm going to legally tell you I am not the person to ask about the details of the law. I'm going to give you guidelines, and if you think that, if I tell you to fly above the Sears Tower, I did not tell you to do that. I said you might be able to do that. Don't do it because I said it. If you really want to know what the actual rules are, what needs to be done in order to do something specifically, you can call your local FAA office or the regional office and ask them. And quite honestly, they're really nice people. I've never heard of any interaction with them saying, "Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible." No, they are responsive because they want you to fly responsibly. They want you to ask these questions. They want you to do it right. So they will work with you to make sure that you do it in the fashion that you can do it safely. Yes, Brian, it will always be the Sears. Obviously, it'll always be the Sears Tower to me because I can't do it. I just can't. Yeah, I think it's for sale, or was it for sale, or did they sell it? I don't know. I know like a year ago it was for sale again. Willis Group was trying to sell it. Okay, guys, this is getting to be a long video. It's 45 minutes now. Actually, it's more than 45 minutes, and that's kind of cool. I like that. I hope, as this video lives, I hope that this continues on and has a nice long life, and people comment in the comments below about any of the rules. As this video lives on the internet, rules are going to change. They're going to change a lot over the next several years, just because so many drones are going to be coming out and getting into the public, and people are going to do stupid things. People are just going to do stupid things, whether they do it on purpose because they're jerks or because they're just like, well, I didn't know. Well, and what a cop, you can ask a cop about that. Ignorance is not an excuse. I think is how they say it. Ignorance is not an excuse. Anyway, so I hope that this video will live on, and I hope it gives some people good information. I will be doing some more live streams in the future. You can always click subscribe if you want to see some more stuff. I think, Brian, you're subscribed, so that's cool. Calvin, I believe you might be subscribed by now. And some other videos to check out. My Where Is It video, that's a cinematic thing. I enjoy doing that. I may do those every month or two, but more and more, this will be more of a drone tip video, drone focused video, or drone tip channel. Oh, the quick version, Brian. Brian, you're just gonna have to go watch the videos on that, on why the Autel, what happened to it. I've talked about it in many of the videos. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Thanks, Calvin. Have a good one, man. Fly safe. So anyway, very short version, Brian. My Autel malfunction, went into the lake. They replaced it, and then I sold this the replacement because I needed money. The replacement one, I will make a video on that next week. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day and they get a lot out of this. Please leave some comments below. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. And until next time, fly safe. And how do I do this? Oh, I go, bye! It's been a long time since I've actually done that.